Welcome back, everybody. Had a little bit of disconnecting issues, but I think we have resolved all of that, and I'm glad that we did, Rooted, because this next series has a whole lot of stakes and a whole lot of action is about to ensue.
Yeah, DK Crew versus Supernova, as the beautiful portraits behind Grapes will allude you to. It is a battle for a place in not only the sort of gulag match of this group, but also potentially sends a team into a much better position for top 10. Going out here, all but sort of confirms you're definitely not at your own mercy. You are relying on the results going your way, and of course you're besting of group of PTCQ Summer #1. So, winning here today, all but crucial for Supernova and DK Crew, who were both in top 16 of Summer Qualifier #1, but would love to go even further this time again.
Yeah, we can take a look at that matchup as well as some of the other stuff that has been happening across both of the streams for this today, all of today. Important to note that Cincinnati Fear versus Area of Effect Ginger Turmeric has also concluded, and Cincinnati Fear did take that in a 2-0 fashion. So we just have these next two lower bracket matchups here to determine who will make it up against either AGT or EGP. And Rooted, both of these games, again, big implications, not just for who can get in there, but also for that top 10 in Proving Grounds. Because all these teams right here, Random, CLG, DK, and Supernova, are on that bubble.
They are. It's a very tight-knit bubble, and it's one that there are a lot of spaces open for it, as we're saying. There is a possibility that we see multiple of those 4 teams make it into that top 10. But of course, they obviously need to start off with a win today, a win here in this series. Both games to start us off going with a 2-0. So at least on my aspect, I do think that both of these teams play a very scrappy style, which does not facilitate a 2-0 on either side. But there is obviously that possibility that one team comes out the gate and absolutely storms a couple games.
Yeah, I'm really excited to take a look at that because these two teams are kind of, they play similar and different at the same time. I feel like DK Crew play pretty like stock standard League of Legends where they go for early ganks and then try to snowball leads from there. But then Supernova do something similar to that, but just like turn up the, intensity tenfold. They just have active running all over across the map. We keep mentioning this team as being this hyper aggressive, team. I kind of call them the LPL team that we have here in Proving Grounds. And if we take a look at the rosters right here, we can see who we're looking at to try and build around for getting this victory here in the best of 3.
Yeah, so for Supernova, at least for me, my eyes are drawn to Actor, the team put a lot of focus on setting up him for success. Ariandel in particular works very nicely, sort of pocketing Actor throughout the majority of the game. But I also want to draw your attention to that bot lane, Tomato and Pluto, both doing very different roles, obviously. Tomato is a very good late game carry, a very good player for those team fights, and Pluto for the Supernova team is that lead shot caller, making the majority of the calls and letting the team know, leading by example here, Pluto, to try and put the team in a better position.
Yeah, has been really impactful both in comms and also just leadership outside of, just playing in the game. And, kind of taking that experience from Collegiate, moving it into another Proving Grounds roster. And this is kind of young versus old here a little bit here, Rooted. Not necessarily, flaming DK Crew for having a lot more experience, but just looking at the names here, these guys, kind of similarly to Maryville University, have a lot of players that have been around the block.
CLOL champ hybrids back from the Winthrop U roster, which upset Evan Orell, I believe, on Maryville in the final. If my CLOL history serves me well.
Do you think they beef at all ever?
Do you remember that final
from across the rift, just like staring each other down?
No, but what is going to happen is Evan Orell's going to steal one of Hybrid's pentas and then say that was for 2020.
That was for 2020. Also, Clyde on this roster won Collegiate, I think, in 2019 with Niles as well. So pretty interesting connections that we have here.
And of course, Short Race has been around the block for so long at this point. Certainly a very well tenured player, and I think that level of shot calling and level of experience across the entirety of DK Crew does give them a semblance of an advantage in this matchup. I think that I'm looking quite heavily then at Savage to see how well he can gel in with this lot, to see sort of the power at which we can see from the DK Crew mid lane.
Yeah, and for DK, this is the spot in the last tournament where they were unfortunately eliminated, dropping that 2-1 series to Cincinnati Fear. And in order to make it into Proving Grounds to crack that top 10, that was a hard group. You had Maryville, and then you had the literal 2 finalists, and then DK Crew as well, who took a game off of Cincinnati Fear. So I think they're a little bit. There's all, do you remember that meme where it was like DK Crew was like, congratulations on getting out of the OQs as being the 32nd seed, and then their reward was just like on like a silver platter. It was just like those 3 teams.
Yes, it was the 2 finalists and one of the best CLL teams to have ever graced North America. Yeah, that was a pretty fun one.
Yeah, and you know that they want a little bit more than that. They think that they are confident in beating any team that comes their way. That's what Tyler, what's with Shorter Race, and a lot of the other players I was talking to, kind of had in mind when they were, thinking about the potential matchups that they could face here in Group D. And they are, looking to make a little bit of a run here. Of course, the winners of this series don't necessarily lock that top 10. Of course, there are some other extenuating circumstances, notably around Tempest Gaming and their ability to maybe get out of that group. But a win here certainly puts them in a really good position, and a loss here puts them in the worst position possible, which is having your season end.
Yes, and that's obviously to nobody's surprise, not what any of these teams want. Obviously, Supernova fostering this environment of growth, development, of helping teams and making your players grow, talent development, all that kind of good jazz. They don't make it to PG, they don't get that experience up against academy teams. It obviously stifles that a little bit, trumps their efforts quite significantly. So it's a crucial game for both of these teams. Unfortunately, we do get to hop into the draft to see how game number 1 plays out.
I'm very excited to see this. Supernova, with I believe the higher seeding, opted towards red side, which is something that they do a lot. They like to play around with the pick ban, pick up different counter picks here and there when they are able to, and really try to use that to their advantage as they look to really put a chokehold around their opponents early in order to get a lead and try to snowball that game. So we'll see how much that plays a role here, especially throughout these first couple picks and then again at that R5.
Of course, to begin with, we are going to see our bans come through. Taking away Evan RL's Callista seems like a fairly smart idea, if I do say so myself. Has been playing this one for a very fair while now, since she's sort of returned, resurged to the meta. A bit of a double ban as well. You are able to take away the Amumu with that one, because that is such just a strong pairing in the 2 versus 2 bot lane. Taking away Ariandel's Galio as well. I'm surprised to see that we don't see as much focus on Acta in the jungle, but I think that teams have sort of figured out that Acta is a very strong player, yes, but he relies a lot on Ariandel, so if we put him a little bit lower down in his champ pool, then the game becomes a lot easier.
They go 1 for 1 there. It's the Galio and the Kindred. Those are the 2 champions you think of when you think of these 2 players. So it looks like DK Crew did their homework when determining what to take off the board. But in terms of other pickups that Actor can go for, things like the Nidalee that worked really well for him last time against AoE randoms are still available, and he has a very wide champion pool here. But of course, when you look at the experience on the rest of DK Crew, they have the flexibility themselves and have the ability to play towards, I believe, any one of their 3 lanes.
And we'll have to see sort of which one of those they end up focusing for this one. Talia, first pick for DK Crew. This was a pick that Acta actually played in their series last week, but didn't end up coming to too much. But this is a flex pick between mid and jungle. Worth mentioning that both Savage and Shorter Race are capable of taking this one. We'll have to see which one of them it is.
A Gnar lock-in for Meslo. This is a bit odd, especially on the first rotation. Wasn't expecting this at all. Gonna say that,
early Gnar,
especially this early for a player like Meslo, who does have a ton of different potential carry picks. But it looks like Supernova want to opt towards the safe side and also maybe in their jungle as well. Maybe trying to farm a little bit more with the Graves lock.
Taking Acta's Graves, this was one of the 2 picks that we saw very frequently banned away from them in Summer Qualifier number 1 and in the OQs. I want to note, Seraphine is not banned, Senna is not banned, Zeri not banned also. We're likely to see this Zeri locked in. I mean, pair it with a Seraphine down in that bot lane, why not? There are a ton of very, very strong picks in the meta that are just not getting picked up. The Udyr, another one, if they want to really flex this Talia, can go for that mid lane. DK Crew can have a very Exodia comp, just in terms of pure power picks.
I mean, they remember what happened last time they were up against those champions, and that was their matchup against EGP. So it looks like they're going to pick up the Zeri here for Evan RL and go for the Yuumi on Clyde. This is a pick that has been banned against Clyde multiple times throughout the open qualifiers, so seeing him finally get his hands on the cat for a little bit of extra comfort will be big.
Excuse me, Yuumi is just a must ban as well. I think that this champion is getting heavily slept on. Potentially throughout amateur, across in the LFL, it's a pick that we get to see time and time again, banned away very frequently. But for DK Crew, they get it for themselves this time around. A very good pairing with the Zeri as well means that you can quite capably get out extra movement speed to start you ramping up and getting into a good spot right there. Jhin versus Zeri, I wanted to hold off on this point, but Jhin early on, fairly decent lane bully, surprisingly enough, can certainly punished quite significantly with that fourth shot. But later the game goes, the harder this matchup gets, because trying to land skill shots on a Zeri, namely, your Deadly Flourish, the Curtain Call as well, becomes incredibly difficult.
And I think going to that point, the range advantage for DK Crew is enormous at this point in the game. Sure, don't have any specifically, big engages right now to really start any fights, but we'll be able to work with maybe that range very, very well as we get into the later stages of this game. It's a very similar concept that we saw in the last series. Of course, not necessarily working to EGP's benefit that time around, but another little thing that has been really important in the meta as we have progressed throughout this kind of durability patch extravaganza here in the summer split. We see the Aatrox and Camille taken away by the side of Supernova because they have an art and that they want to protect that pick.
Still the option for an Aurelia if Hybrids feels spicy enough for it. Supernova right now need a really heavy source of magic damage from that mid lane. Atelier already taken away, waiting to see what we can see from Ariandel. They're likely going to just match support. Just to keep counterpick, preserve it for that final phase, and have complete information on what DK Crew are putting down. Still that chance flex pick for the DK Crew with that Talia. With the Amumu locked in, they are going full focus really toward a fairly engaged centric composition. They've got a lot of follow up with the Jhin, a lot of initial engage with that Gnar and the Amumu. So let's see which one ends up getting real control.
We saw the Amumu on the side of Maryville. Psycho played that, but it was with the Callista, which has the extra jump in there with the Fate's Call. Not really gonna have that this time around on Supernova. Jhin has a different ultimate ability, so it's gonna be a little bit harder maybe for Pluto to try to get in there and do some damage. We were talking about hard engage, maybe necessary for DK Crew rooted, and looks like they heard us right here. Malphite and Vi locked in.
Yeah, I mean, you see three very physical damage style champions locking in the Malphite. Absolutely no surprise to me, but then you also get Vi to be an extra frontline. I'm looking at the DPS that Supernova have got right now, and it's fairly lacking.
The silence doesn't help.
No, it's very situational, very single target oriented, unless of course you're stealing away the Malphite. There are some good ultis to steal. It is worth noting. I'd love to see a Silas riding on the Talia wall, making his impact felt cross map. Seems very Ariandel-esque, and of course stealing away the Vi ult, certainly something that you can really do successfully and taking down one single target.
I don't really like this draft from Supernova Rooted. I don't think it does enough damage. I think you really need Actor to get incredibly far ahead to have any sort of semblance of DPS come the late game. And DK Crew, they have a lot of damage. Of course, they have Evan RL, who will probably be very strong from like minute 10 or so, as soon as Clyde can really get a couple of items. And even the rest of their team, they have the ability to lock down and engage and have the rest of the team kite it out as well.
Very strong early skirmish comp is what Supernova have got, and it's something that they obviously have drafted for. It's something that they are very comfortable, very well versed at playing. When we think of Supernova, it is the early game skirmish team. They want to battle it out early on and try and find themselves with early game leads to the point where their late game scaling and the damage that they are going to be missing in that point does not matter, because they're simply so far ahead so early on. Now, of course, they have to execute on that. They have to try and be successful with that approach. The only way to find out is to get underway with game number one.
Yeah, the first good start for that for Supernova Rude could be a potential invade. We've seen this happen pretty often in games where Actor is on the Rift, whether it is against him or towards him in his favor, as we see a lot of Supernova members maybe piled around this bot side. It's a nice 5 stack here by DK to stack and maybe spot out anybody that potentially goes into the wrong area for Supernova. But they're going to have to find the early game lead, as we said, whether it's with an invade like this or just, the good old-fashioned stock standard way.
Something to keep your eye on is Actor's pathing early on. Something he will very frequently do is simply barrel into mid lane at level 3. They're going for a late invade here as well. No ward down. And finally, actually, it was a last-second ward that went in, but 3 members of Supernova waltzed their way into the red side. There's a defensive ward from Actor as well in that top side to see if there's a trade. And
even Ariandel walking in.
Let's see how long it takes for Actor to show up mid lane. That's my game.
Should we count?
We can use the timer. All
right. What's your thought? I'm gonna say 255.
I'm gonna say 1 or 220. Like,
Oh, man.
it's not going to take long. He's going to
That's-
complete this Raptor camp and he's in there.
That's bold. All right, let's see if he does it. If he goes to mid lane here, actually, I think you win this one. Actually, the wave is
Yeah.
pushed in pretty heavily. There goes the Raptor camp. Here comes Actor into the mid lane. Of course, Shorter Race in the top side quadrant here of Supernova's jungler. But it looks like not much will be gained from that little exchange. But it does mean that Shorter Race is not able to get that vertical jungle that he wanted to. So Actor coming out with the big win nonetheless.
Yeah, and you can see that there was an attempt at a play by DK Crew, by Shorter Race in particular, to try and steal away camps on that top side, but recognizing that he's either going to have to battle for his mid laner's life or sacrifice his own life to get a couple of camps, knows that that's simply not possible. A well-defended Rebel Actor. I don't think he's aware that he's kept that. As Ariandel goes in,
Oh!
good trade.
Conqueror proc. Savage still the flash though. Probably not in too much danger of dying. I saw the low health bar and immediately thought, ooh, this is a kill. This is good stuff for me to say on stream, but unfortunately not. It will just be the reset coming through from Savage, but Ariandel getting early priority in this lane, which is step number 1 in getting that early advantage for Supernova.
Of course, we talked about how well they like to prioritize Actor and his own generation of leads. They set him up nicely with a nice 4-man invade into the bot side jungle. He's now got himself a very sizable camp lead. Shorter Race.
I mean, they are technically even in gold still right now, but Actor does so much damage. Shorter Race's going to have to dash away, and Pluto might try to respond as well. Does have the flash. The bandage toss can be used, but it just sails wide.
Shorter Race is on another level. He predicts that Pluto's going to go for the flash there as he's gone out of vision. Just really smart play. Now Savage may well get turned back in on.
There's not a whole lot of crowd control. Yeah, I was going to say.
Are they going to die?
They
That would be
need-
very Giga Chad. They don't.
Not as Giga Chad as what was it, Maryville in that series where they just kept diving top lane over and over again. Was that what we were talking?
Yeah. They didn't go for it though. It was
Ac-
denied.
Actor is definitely getting himself pretty rich right now in the jungle. It's a double scuttle. Hasn't even taken his topside quadrant camps. Of course, the Krugs and the red buff still alive on the first rotation, so has so much gold to continue to generate. And even though the lead is currently in favor of DK in terms of just the economy, Actor will definitely have a huge advantage, even though it's not the kills going down.
Yeah, and Short Race is having to take his second round of camps on just the chilling smite knife, whatever that thing's called. I know that the red one's an ember knife. I'm not too sure what the blue one's called, unfortunately. But he's doing all of this on very minimal items. It's very difficult to get those full clears going successfully and fairly quickly. And it turns out that once again, Actor sacrifices a little bit of his tempo to try and make a play in the mid lane, walks up, not able to find anything too successful. But when he goes back to base, he's going to have either that Noon Quiver, I expect, or the lethality serrated Dirk coming through. I think that this game, all of the tankiness that you're expecting to see from this Malphite in particular, potentially opting to more and more crit-centric build path wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but we may well just see him go lethality and kill the backline and think about how we deal with Malphite as a later problem.
Could also go Gore Drinker. Has the fleet footwork for some extra sustainability as well. But items not important right now because Actor is just going to try to get a bit of a lead himself without any of the extra gold spent. Now Ariandel has come as well, and these are the two goons for Supernova to come and make plays across the map. The jump away from Meslo is just barely in time, and that is first blood for Ariandel. Shorter Race will get the trade back though, and now DK Crew could have the chance to try and turn this into their favor. The seismic shove lands in. Ariandel is stunned up, but not enough damage just yet on the Talia. Shorter Race just barely misses out on the stun, and Ariandel will escape with his life.
Yeah, Savage finds the shove, but still with simply a door answering in terms of combat stats. Not really able to make too much presence felt there. And Clyde, on unfortunately, a bit of a solo journey. That is the feels bad of a Yuumi, where you're trying to solo roam up to a fight, and the fight's dissipated by the time you get there. Pretty much the worst of any support, but Pluto bot lane.
Oh, it's so close every time. Hasn't gotten anything just yet.
A solid effort.
We can see the
star
effort.
for effort.
Yes, yeah. We can. It one eventually it'll land, right? If you throw out, there's a saying like this, like eventually.
There's a parable. Yeah. Everybody knows it.
Except
throw
me.
hooks, hit hooks. Smile.
Yeah.
No, I mean everybody knows the concept, but they may not know the distinct wording.
Throw hook. Yeah, we can just use that, and yeah, there we go. Another hook connected here by Pluto. Actor gonna dash forward as well. There's the second proc, and that is Shorter Race going down in his own jungle. Ariandel stealing away that unstoppable force and making himself a movable object, getting the hell out of there.
We do get to see the power of the serrated Dirk right there. Of course, Vi opting toward that defense under it early on does not have those tank stats available to him, and Actor with the lethality that's already picked up absolutely shreds through this Vi's health bar.
It's another
you
red
can
buff.
see it's another red buff.
It will be
Vi
12.
doesn't need those, right?
It will be 12 minutes on the clock before Shorter Race collects the red buff in this game.
Are you sure? Are you putting money on that?
I guess he could go for a steal. I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, I mean, do you think that? Do you think that Actors are letting him get the third red buff?
Oh. No.
I mean, it'd be longer.
And if it's
than
going this way, then no, right? he's gonna keep.
Yeah,
He's gonna
exactly.
keep going. I feel like sometimes when I play jungle, I will just like feel like I have to just take the red buff every single time. If I have that streak going, right? If I steal the first two, you have to just get the third, and it doesn't matter if it like ruins your whole
Kills
pathing
you,
or kills
yeah.
you or anything. If you get that streak, if you keep it going, then that's all that really matters.
No, exactly.
That's the perspective from Grapes, the really great League of Legends player.
That's
why
the rank check.
Wow, look at the Herald going down here by Supernova. They're gonna
Before
they take it so fast.
Before we came on air, I want to let you know. Before we came on air, Grapes said you can roast me a little because he felt it was fairly one-sided, him being mean to me. I tried to be mean to him. Immediately, subject changed.
I don't know what you're talking about. The objective went down. We have to talk about it, right?
Okay.
And yeah, Dragon as well. Wow, lots of objectives being taken this game. Rooted. What do you think?
I think you're dodging the question, and I think I like it. Umbral Glaive already completed for Actor, so this is a very scary Graves through these early stages. It needs to pay dividends. We touched on the fact that Supernova have drafted themselves into this hole. It is a win early or don't win at all style of composition. Because at some point, Hybrids is going to be joining up in team fights and not going to let them... okay.
Ooh, down in the bot lane, though. In comes Pluto with the bandage toss. Curtain Call has been used, and Clyde will block the forced shot. But now the Yuumi has been crowd control and cannot reattach. The ultimate advantage has been used, but Supernova still remain up and strong. It will just be nobody dying just yet, but the waves crashing in. Actor is in the area with Shelly in tow. We could be looking at a dive, Rude.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings here. A lot of pretty colors, no sparks.
Comes the assault and battery coming through. Actor will be the first to fall. His Shorter Race survives as Clyde able to heal him back up. Now Savage is arriving, using the heal for a little bit of extra movement speed in the flash to secure the Amumu. And now Tomato stuck in a 1v3, and it might not be that for long. Here comes the shove back into the base. He goes Tomato, looking to get one more back on Evan RL.
There's no
but
mana.
he won't be able to pick anything up. The
Just
force
run,
shot
my
is not
boy.
enough. Tomato somehow survives. No mana onto Savage means that the Jhin will live.
Yeah, no mana on the Talia, no health on the Zeri there, and Tomato able to use the fancy feet, the Swifty Boots, to get out to safety. Now Hybrids has ult, take two. Can we find this kill?
Waiting for it, biding his time. In comes the Seismic Shard. Ariandel, utilizing the rest of his mana pool, really wants to get this wave pushed in. This might be to his detriment. Here comes the ulti. Here comes the shove. Rocks on rocks on rocks means that Ariandel goes down.
Yeah, a lot of seismics, a lot of geography fans in the chat for this game. And also Grapes, excuse me. I'm going to have to hold my point here because we do get to see a little re-skirmish of that bot lane fight. Good hits, honestly, by Tomato. I was talking about how it's going to be hard for him to hit Zeri with all the movement speed so far. Kind of nailing those skill shots. We can't really lie about that. He certainly hit the marker where necessary. And then we get this weird standoff, right, where it's kind of like, are people fighting, are people not fighting? Actor's looking for a potential execute with his ult. And then he gets re-engaged on, and then Pluto sacrifices his life to try and set up Shorter Race. It's a whole load of engagements that ultimately go one way. It is DK Crew that find the majority of the advantages. One kill goes to Savage off the back of that flash. Also able to barely not quite take down Tomato there. But Grapes, what I was going to say is, did you know that they actually changed Vi Ultimate's name?
Is it not Assault and Battery anymore?
No, it's not. It's
Caster, by the way.
Cease and Desist.
Is it? Okay, well, I will have to keep that in mind as I continue through this game. There's going to be a lot more
I will
vibe
fact
play.
check.
It is Shorter Race. Here comes the Cease and Desist. There we go. And now it will be Tomato going down. Pluto barely missing away from that bandage toss as well. And Actor stuck in the 1v3. Pluto can't get in range for the stun just yet, and actually does not have the cooldown available for himself. Actor will be able to survive, but DK Crew continuing to push the tempo despite Supernova still having the gold lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure whose Gromp that... I failed it. I failed it. The Gromp blocked the bullets. Actor flashed over, put a big old shotgun blast into the frog. And it kept Shorter Race alive, really, because the pellets obviously get blocked by Graves. So it's a nice attempt. He's on the ward. Oh.
It's a little underwhelming for now.
Savage doesn't do damage yet. This is really sad.
Stopwatch as well. It's gonna take a little bit of time to get that damage.
It's like the Jaws theme tune, except it's a little kitten, you know? It just like bounds on you and gives you a little hug. That's how that felt.
There's a GIF. Jay, if you're watching this, you can find the GIF and like quote tweet it with this little like thing, a little cat like.
Nice.
I don't know. Oh, we're back to this actually. Actor got the blue buff, not the red buff this time around. So Shorter Race will get it at 13 minutes. So not gonna keep the streak going. Does it? Yeah.
Let's take a moment. Claps in chat.
He got a buff. He got the red buff, guys. Did it.
We made it. Shorter Race's red buff, the first one of the game. But fortunately. Lovely, and we get the shot. Perfect
Zoom in
kill
on
angle as well.
Let's see the colors.
Can we get the replay? Can we get the replay of the red buff going down for Shorter Race? The Drake is spawning for Shorter Race and for the rest of the crew. It is a Grapes and observers. I know I asked you for this, and you are correct, but I was making my point. With the Drake spawning in 20 seconds time. A lot of control around this bot side for DK Crew. They are pushing in this wave as well down in the bot side, making sure that they are obviously got control over the bot lane so that they can move into that Drake pit, move through the map with a fair amount of confidence. Second Dragon, of course, spawns up, taken down. Actor on the wrong side of this map. This should be, I say should because you never know with Supernova, a free Dragon for DK Crew.
Well, Actor is now in the area, so maybe had potentially go in. Back's coming through from Pluto. Tomato's already back in base as well, so it just will be this Dragon 2 for 0 in favor of the Monkey Men, as they will have that advantage for themselves at least. But Supernova doing a decent job at maintaining the gold lead that they have, specifically up in the jungle, as well as Meslo having a nice 30 CS lead in the top lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is something that we've not particularly been able to keep our eyes on, but this top lane matchup, it's got a Malphite in it, innately going to be incredibly boring. Maybe when they're down on this bot side is DK Crew. A little overextended, maybe?
Shorter Race here to respond for potential play. Deadly Flourish goes wide. In comes the ulti here for Shorter Race. Final chapter coming out. And Actor is very, very low. Has no more dashes to try and escape. And Evan RL has all of them in the world. Tomato with the Gale Force forward. Cannot take down the Vi. And will force another summoner spell of his own. But here comes the curtain call. And here comes Ariandel. The Abscond Duck lands in on to the Zeri. But not a whole lot of extra damage on top of that. Here comes Pluto though. But is unable to get that kill just yet. The heals are still so big from Clyde, and nobody on Supernova is able to get anything. Finally, the dash in will pick up one, but Ariandel has nowhere to go but back to the Death Realm as Savage is on a killing spree.
I'm telling you, please ban Yuumi. This champion is far too broken to be let through. Clyde has just single-handedly carried DK Crew to an insane fight down in that bot side. They have no business taking that much damage and none of them dying. That was disgusting.
It seems so close, but again, just like not enough damage for Supernova and Yuumi existing in the game. Let's take another look here. Watch the Yuumi, watch the heals, and watch the rest of Supernova be unable to do anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of cooldowns expended first to go forward onto Actor. Nice attempt, actually, and it's worth noting the Prowling Projectile actually does the follow-up damage, which allows the Zeri passive bounce from her ult to find the kill on to Actor. Ariandel comes in here, steals away the Lightning Rush. Worth noting this has got an insane AP scaling, so a little bit later on into the game, this is just a big EMP of insane amounts of damage. Look how much HP Savage has now.
Another heal.
Another heal. Then Evan RL as well. He, unfortunately, he fully Icaruses this. He tanks it for Clyde right there.
Oh
what
my god. Is that...
Why are we here? What? Supernova.
They are...
Stop it.
That... We might
I have to imagine I was missing context to that, which makes the play a lot more justified. Yeah. But we come back to two people dying beneath their tier 2 turret. That was not what I was expecting.
I don't know how they got there. I don't know if I want to know how they got there, but another 2 kills for DK, who are up 10-3 now in this game. They're going to break open tier 1 in the mid lane for that first brick, and finally have themselves a gold lead. It took them a while, but we are here. Let's take a look at what happened mid.
Okay. Stunned up. They just go for a dive. Okay, they have a 3v1 with Pluto here, but Savage just clears the wave and they just go for this dive. Graves gets absolutely graved, and then Cease and Desist comes through. Minions once again, the downfall of Actor. Pluto was there, walked underneath the turret, went, yeah, there's nothing here, and Actor had, unfortunately, different plans. Grapes, do you remember, oh, not do you remember, we're going to play a little Q&A right now.
Okay.
And it's gonna set the stage for this game.
Yes.
Do we remember what we said Supernova had to do this game early on?
They had to get ahead early.
And how many minutes into the game are we?
Not early.
Not early, not wrong. Are they ahead?
No.
No, and now we get to see if you were listening to me earlier. What does this mean? What does this mean?
This means that DK Crew win the game.
You know what? By and large, it makes the game a lot harder. Is what the PC answer, I suppose, is. It does make this game very difficult for Supernova, right? They have this early game scaling, or early game composition that doesn't particularly scale. Because of all of the damage that is going to get mitigated by this Malphite. We just saw Meslo all-in hybrids, and he is still 60% HP with no HP items built up. Obviously, Frozen Heart does its very good job at preventing all-ins anyway. Worth noting as well the synergy between Malphite and the Frozen Heart, between both that and his E. Any champion trying to attack Malphite when they get hit by the E and they're in range of the Frozen Heart as well, they need to be winding up those autos. It really does work best to try and find any single attack.
Back to the bot lane we go. MNRL jumping over the wall a little bit aggressively. This dragon is up in 10 seconds. Supernova want to try and delay the soul as long as possible, because a Hextech soul into the hands of the Zeri, into the hands of Talia, would definitely not be good. Shorter Ray starting up the aggression with the Q forward, but is unable to land any sort of crowd control. Now dashing a little bit short. DK Crew being in a bit of a bad situation. Oh no, here comes the engage, here comes the fight, big crowd control coming forward, and Supernova have nowhere to go but home. And one kill going down, could be more. Weaver's Wall coming out, Savage looking to go aggressive. Tomato and the front line, and Pluto will go down first. Ariendel has no chance in a 1v5. It's a double kill over to Shorter Race, and Meslo in a very bad spot as well. The flash will be away. We have a pause, but
we do.
I think we know what happened in that fight. All things.
I noticed at the end of it, I don't think it was actually anything to do with the fight, which is a good thing.
That's good.
I do think it was just Hybrids DC'd. I saw at the end kind of stood where the Gromp was, not really doing it. Oh, I'm insane. Production in my ear as I say it. Hybrids is DC'd. That is pretty much the only thing. Fortunately, he got the big ulti and he set up the fight. So for DK Crew, they got what they needed out of the Malphite. The Malphite pressed R, and the rest of the team fight went very well for them. Savage riding in on that wall. You know, they'd taken down one. They managed to take down a fair few after the fact as well, because Savage sort of threw himself into the midst of Supernova and had a really well-placed Unraveled Earth, which meant that when re-engaging, they were in a little bit of trouble.
It was a very good fight overall for DK Crew. They are the ones that have a lot of the tools to engage, of course, with the Vi and the Malphite that they set themselves up for on that 4-5, remember. And then the rest of the damage is just too good. Savage, doing a huge chunk of damage and stunning up a lot of these members. And of course, MNRL just basically being untouched with Clyde on top of him as well.
Yeah, Clyde is obviously just loving life. Honestly, whenever you get a free Yuumi game, I feel like they're just cashing it in. They just went to the bank. They said, "Hello, you have not banned Yuumi. I would like my free win, please." And by and large, they're cashing in quite well. They've got the engaged tools to back up a Yuumi. It's not just the fact that you pair so nicely with Evan RL down in the bot lane, but you also pair so incredibly nicely with Short Race as well. Any diver, any bruiser that has a Yuumi on top becomes so much harder to kill with all the extra healing and shielding that comes through, and the innate tankiness that comes from those champions themselves, that you kind of have to for the Supernova squad, because one of the key illustrations that we drew to them, which was they don't have damage later, and why we said they needed to win early because they don't have the damage later, is only compounded by the Yuumi pick.
And you can see a lot of the attempts, you know, but they just was not enough to get them any kills. They come so close every time, and you can see in the replay that we're about to run right now, a very similar situation where it looks like they're about to get certain picks, but you know, when it comes down to it, the composition for DK Crew just takes priority.
Yeah, and you know, this light engage by shorter race, they do bait out some good cooldowns with no final chapter. There is a real good timing now for Supernova to try and take this fight. But ultimately, they get wombo combo here. It's a two-man ulti on one side. I think that Cease and Desist on the flip side shunts a load of other people back as well. So at this point, you're thinking, oh, okay, maybe Supernova have got out. But then Savage says, hell no, sir. Nice unraveled earth here. This means that Pluto gets stunned immediately on entrance and can't really do anything. Ariandel meets the same fate as well. Both the Silas and the Amumu getting stunned up by the Talia E on their entry. We really are seeing some really good power and some really good, I'll say, utilization of the Talia E. A really great counter to this Silas and also to the Amumu, it appears.
And of course, there are some crucial cooldowns not available, notably Pluto's ulti for some big AoE stuns would have been really valuable if it was up for the running. But overall, for Supernova, really didn't look like they had any angle into that fight whatsoever. It was DK Crew through and through, even despite some of the, you know, not successful early engages by shorter race when the queues went a little bit short. Still looked like they were in a good spot. Even the Herald came in as well. And they were just able to re-engage and did so with ease, taking that fight win, taking that presumably Hextech Soul point, taking a really big lead in this game.
Yeah, obviously the job's not done yet, but we have really illustrated that they've got a good set of tools. They have all of the assets necessary to take this game. Now they just need to dot their I's, cross the T's, and make sure that they're in in that winning spot. 3 members down from the back end of that team fight. The presumed soul point by yourself, Grapes, quite rightly going to get taken now. In 5 minutes' time, there's going to be a second fight. Supernova are going to have to try and take it or lose this Hextech Soul, and it's not going to be easy. There
it is. Dragon going down. It is 13-3. 3,000 gold lead, 2.5, I guess, at this point for DK Crew. And they are looking very, very good, better and better with each passing minute. If you look at the KDAs of their main carries, they're looking pretty good as well. 2-1-4 on Evan, 6-0-3 on Savage, 5-1-4 on Shorter Race. So they got the engage, got the backline damage. What more can you ask for at this point?
Are you familiar with the term clairvoyance?
Like the ability name back in the day?
No. Just the general concept in real life.
Like seeing the future, almost. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna put yours to the test.
I have a lot of that, of course.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What do you think DK Crew will do on the spawn of the Chemtech Drake? Is it go for the Chemtech Soul, or is it go for the Baron?
I think it's go for a fight and just win it and then get both. That's
No.
my prediction.
Okay.
See a little bit of a pick attempt here. Savage's Unraveled Earth does a huge amount of space generation, and in comes Shorter Race, in comes the damage. The Vi is unstoppable, and in comes Evan RL as well. Zoom in over the wall, popping that lightning rush. Savage in with the Weaver's Wall again, and he is now godlike on this Talia. Looks like my prediction might be a bit wrong rooted because the Baron is getting started up right now.
Yeah, you don't know Supernova, unfortunately. They're not going to wait 5 minutes to take a fight in an objective. They're going to take a fight nearly 20 seconds after they've just lost another one. And they're going to opt into a pick, which does get turned around. I respect the play. They have to go for outfits to try and turn the game back around. This is not a good look.
They don't win Pluto? Can we go back? Okay, I was gonna.
The Baron was a formality. We need to see Hybrids 1v3ing.
I want to see if Pluto and Hybrids duke it out. That would have been fun. Okay, it looks like they don't want to go for that. Instead, will be Supernova picking up a tier 2 in the bottom lane, so a nice little return for them. But they are going to have to get the hell on out of there because the rest of DK Crew is heading in towards that area. It is the Baron picked up. It is still actually not the largest gold lead, but every ounce of tempo is in DK Crew's favor at this point.
You are not wrong. And to draw, again, quite how simple this game could be for DK Crew to close out. They have the Baron now, which is, 2 minutes 20. We look at the timer of that Hextech Drake spawn, 2 minutes 40. There's about 20-second overlap between the two objectives, where we should expect to see DK Crew push their vision lines, take down a couple turrets, Shorter Race.
Okay, there's a picks. You need picks right now if you are Supernova. Shorter Race is shut down, and in comes Pluto. 2-man stun. Will have to flash away. Hybrids, though, onto the back line. Will knock down the Mummy. And now Evan RL caught in a bad spot. Will get locked
This
in
is
by the
winning.
Esconda Duck, but somehow he survives. Will still kill Ariandel. Hybrids goes down, but Evan RL and Clyde are having a field day here against Supernova. The rock comes through. Actor running the wrong direction, and it is all DK Crew in game number 1.
This champion is not balanced. Why is Clyde allowed to play this champ? DK Crew get caught out. They overstep, they overextend, but they win the fight anyway because they have an insane amount of gold lead. They have an insane amount of item differences, and they have a Yuumi on their team. Yes, they lose too. It slows down the Baron a little bit. This is ultimately not the worst case situation for Supernova, but that should have been so much better. Look at this. Short Race gets called out, and quite rightly, gets absolutely popped. Pluto has a really good engage into the backline, finds the final 2 members that they're looking for in the fight. But then, look at how low Evan gets. Multiple times in this fight. Okay, he's down, he's in the middle of 3 people. Shield bow, heal, heal, heal from Yuumi. Shield as well, because we see Clyde nicely detach, reattach within a swift amount of time. There's simply no way Evan RL should have ever lived in that situation. And he gets to.
I was gonna say, is it you know, Supernova not having damage? Is it Yuumi being broken? I think it's a bit of both. But that was
A little column A, a little column B.
yeah. A very is it even an impressive? I mean, he was just face tanking the entire team and just not dying. It's like
It's
sure,
a great exhibit.
Yeah,
It's a great exhibit
Okay.
of Clyde pressing E. And as well, detaching, reattaching to give a shield. Very, very important.
Hey, there are some mechanics to Yuumi. I will.
I am demeaning
I will fight
the
for Clyde a
Yuumi.
little bit here.
Yeah, I
good.
will also say, oh, Hybrid's just going to kill the Mayo here.
Flash, ult, knock up. He lands and he dies. Okay.
Oh man,
20 to
ADC's so
5.
broken. ADC, such a broken role. That's an inhib.
It might be more, honestly, at this point. DK Crew pushing in as 5, and there's really no stopping them at this point. Supernova threw everything in the kitchen sink at them in the previous engage and still weren't able to come up with anything. Ariandel with the unstoppable force. Pluto looking for a big stun. Will find it, but there's just no damage. There's too much durability on the side of DK Crew, and they are about to take game number 1 over Supernova here in the best of 3.
Nice, clean, concise game from DK Crew. They had us a little bit worried within the first couple minutes, but they were able to weather the storm. They're going to be able to end the game here just
Okay,
yet.
maybe not. Here comes Meslo, nice Gnar, but he gets bursted down to the ground. There comes the Gale Force. It will knock down Savage. No, it is the execute. The curtain call will come through. Hybrids won't be able to take that Hex Portal because of the damage dealt, but there
Yes,
he
he
goes.
will.
Zooming on over there, and he'll see y'all later.
Oh, and look
YouTube
at what's
outro,
up, Grapes. YouTube outro, please. We need some montage music for that one. The Hextech Soul now just going to be a mere condolence, really, I suppose, for DK Crew at this point. And I say condolence in the complete wrong sense of the word. It's more of a, well, I guess we just get to take this now. This has been free. We mentioned that with the Baron, they'd be able to set up quite significantly far ahead. That's a play from Supernova that I just got to see. We get a replay of what happened here in the base. Great Zhonya's from Savage, pretty much sets up the fight for Doom, essentially, for Supernova, because they can't take out the typical time. And it really is just a wash from there. Nowhere near the damage, unfortunately, across this DK, or across this Supernova team. Take this Nexus turret.
Oh.
They're fighting, though.
Yeah, into the bandage toss. There goes Savage again. Big shutdown into the hands of Tomato. It is a 4v5 in favor of Supernova, but they only have the single target damage. Hybrids misses the ulti as Tomato will survive after dashing out as well. And here comes Shorter Race. They're continuing to look for the plays, but not finding it. The W just goes short.
A stay of execution for Supernova here. They take down the Talia. They get a little bit of gold back in their pockets. But ultimately, I don't think it's enough. I want to say this is still very, very difficult for them to find a win. And I think that stay of execution is really the perfect thing. It ultimately doesn't change too much, but it buys them maybe another 30, 40 seconds while we wait for Savage to respawn. Gonna just take down some turrets in the top lane. Weirdly enough, they took down the tier 3 inhibitor mid lane before they took down the tier 1 turret in the top lane. But
I was gonna say, yeah, the turret count was really low at that point. It would have been 6 at the end of the game right there, which might, I don't know, break some records if you wanted to check on that. But looks like they're gonna do it the old-fashioned way, break open every single asset of the base. And it doesn't seem like Supernova can do much in these 5v5s. Have to continue to look for picks, but right now DK Crew not letting them have it.
clumped up as that 5-man unit. The only way that they die is when they go solo. So if they never go solo, they will simply never die. And they don't need the Baron, really. Evan, more than capable of quite happily wailing away at these turrets. Ulti comes through from the Tomato.
Does it even break through the shield? It doesn't even break through the shield of Viper. It's all 4 shots from Tomato. Down goes 1, soon to be 2. Pluto buying a little bit of time with the ulti, but there's nobody to re-engage. DK Crew with a 3v5 into the base of Supernova.
I think they're just going to go mid. Fortunately, Actor did a decent effort at trying to take out the wave, but he's going to die as well soon, it looks like. He's got flash, though, to get out to safety. But they can just run through mid lane here. You can see that even Actor, yeah, they don't need too much of a wave. They need literally 1 turret's worth, which is, funnily enough, quite what they've got.
Man, we're just getting baited day in and day out. They really don't want to end. They want.
I mean, they're having fun. I wouldn't want to end this game either.
You know
they're
what?
so far ahead.
I'll give you that. It is very. I'm sure it's very fun for DK Crew right now. They're gonna get this Baron again into their hands. Supernova seems pretty stifling right now. Not really much of an opportunity to do much. They're gonna have to go for this 5v5 here. Actor will get stunned up by Savage. Baron at about half HP. No danger of going down just yet, but Evan does so much damage. In comes Hybrids as well. And Shorter Race looking to with follow-up engage. Down goes Tomato. Will get locked up and stunned to the ground. Ariendel will try to get the chains in onto 1, but he will be the one who chained back down into his prison cell. Meslo, the final nail in the coffin as Actor goes down to Savage. All 5 members die. Nobody does on DK Crew, and they will finally, presumably, take game 1. I said that 3 times, and it looks like this will be.
Grapes.
No, you're griefing.
There's an Elder in 2.5 minutes. They're not going to end here. They gotta play the long game.
Okay.
But no. Okay. Game number 1 goes down. DK Crew. They do put the nail in the coffin finally here, 31-7, a very convincing win. Nothing really that didn't go their way, it feels like. There were a couple of picks, a couple last-ditch efforts by Supernova that, granted, they had to go for, but that never really panned out in the long run.
You can see some semblances of what we know Supernova for in a lot of those in a lot of the early game. Actor going for the level 2, getting a huge farm advantage for himself in the jungle. But Shorter Race playmaking just kind of reigned supreme, was able to get big ganks, get the lead, started to go. And even though Actor was able to accumulate a bit of a gold lead, the kills always were in favor of DK Crew throughout almost the entire game, and it just kept snowballing and snowballing until eventually they were able to take the Nexus. Also, Rude, 1 second. I'm going to do a little classic thing. I don't know if you guys remember this from 2021, but just going to... damn, it doesn't go. It says ban Yumi. I'll clear it. I'll make it a little bit darker right there. My camera sucks. Okay, never mind. We'll cut the clip. Well, we're gonna go to break. Next game. Go. Bye.